Welcome to No Question and Answered. My name is Mandy Hilton Latte, your host. Are your exams approaching? Don't wait till the last minute before you cram for your exams. It is not the best way to take an exam. It would not help you in any way, and at the end of the day, it would be difficult behind your papers. So, the best thing to do is to prepare for your exams. It is a process you have to follow through all the time. You start from day one. Study, read, solve questions, go through every step in the process before you sit behind your papers on the final day. On No Question and Answered, we're going to take you through the processes. We would take every step right from your homes, from the process you go through in your homes till you get behind your paper on the final day. So join us on No Question and Answered every day as we take you through those processes, and we would also learn various ways to prepare towards the exams. We would also take you through, as usual, questions on every subject. We would delve into each question and you would get to know the steps to take to answer every question you meet on your exam papers. So, get yourselves ready and prep up for the lesson ahead. Today, we're looking at the English paper and we're looking at paper 2. Now, we would join my co-host with Mr. Brokwa in the studio as they take us through a discussion of things that lead to students not performing very well in their exams before we hit the paper 2 itself and look at the questions there. So if you're not prepared for this, go and get yourselves ready. Get your writing materials as we would listen to a discussion and then go to the classroom for our lesson. So get ready and give it a try. I'll see you.
Viewers, I have here with me Mr. Eugene Ablakwa, a renowned facilitator. Mr. Eugene Ablakwa has been an English teacher for the past 20 years. Let's welcome him. Mr. Eugene, you're welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, before we go on with today's lesson, I'd like us to have a few discussions. First of all, I'd like to find out what are some of the reasons why candidates or therefore learners are not able to answer examination questions correctly.
Thanks for your question and thanks for having me. I think that in life, any task ahead of us requires adequate preparation.
Oh, okay.
Basically, our candidates don't prepare adequately, and this results in low levels of confidence.
When you say they don't prepare adequately, what does that really mean?
It means that they don't study ahead of the exams.
Oh, okay, so it's the studying ahead of the exams.
Yes. Most of them wait, for the
last
11th hour before they do something later. And at that time, if you're not careful, you can easily become confused.
Oh, okay.
So that accounts for their inability to answer all questions
as
expected of them.
Which other reasons do we have apart from children's inability to read ahead of time?
Yeah. Also, most students are not able to think logically. And by so doing, they are not also able to present the facts, ideas, and concepts in a sequential manner as expected of them. Then we can also talk of examination phobia.
Examination what?
Phobia.
Phobia.
Yeah, which is fear of examination. Once you are not adequately prepared, you would certainly lack that confidence.
Oh, okay.
Which will ultimately result in fear.
Okay, so if I may ask again, the fear, is it about the fear of failing or the fear of not able to answer the question?
Both. Because you are not well prepared, you are afraid you are going to fail, and you're also afraid you will not be able to answer the question. Yeah, there's yet another reason, which is failure on the part of candidates to do series of self-tests.
Okay.
I believe that in preparing for examinations, one has to test him or herself to find out if one is really on track. Most of our candidates do not engage in this exercise. They fail to do this self-test. And so it results in low levels of confidence.
So this test, does it mean that the child is supposed to test him or herself?
Precisely.
Or the test comes when the child goes to school?
Not at all. The child must test him or herself based on content material he or she has studied over the period. To ascertain whether he or she is on track.
Mr. Blackwell, I also know there are some children who believe that when they pray, God will, do a miracle and they will pass their exam. So they only pray. They don't learn at all. They only pray.
The prayer and the study should be complementary.
So it means that they should pray and then study as well.
Hard as well. They should revise adequately.
Okay, revision also counts.
That is, prior to revision, you should study hard regularly, not waiting for examination time before you study. Taking your study seriously. Right down from JHS 1, if you should take your study seriously. By the time you get to J3, you'll be well prepared to take the paper. And that will also do away with the examination phobia we talked about earlier. Because you are well prepared, you'll be very much confident.
So you have that confidence that you need to be able to write the exams and pass successfully.
Then again, I would advise that prior to the BECE paper, candidates should do what I have termed self-test, series of self-tests.
Self-tests.
Within the stipulated time. Each paper has sections and times allotted to each section. So in doing series of self-tests, the candidate picks a past paper and then answers the question within the time allotted for the paper to find out if he or she is really on top of the game. And then again, one approach to passing examination is group discussion.
Group discussion.
In fact, it helps a lot.
So now that we are observing social distance, how does that work?
Yeah, that would be a little challenging now that this COVID-19 has brought us this far.
It's rather unfortunate.
But I know COVID has not come to stay.
Definitely. Definitely. Bombs go.
So my advice to them is that they should do group discussion. And this group should be made up of, people who are good in all subject areas. So that whilst Kofi is good in maths. Amma be okay in English,
in a different subject.
Another person. So
I think that will help.
They come together and they study together. I think that most candidates fail to read questions carefully in order to make informed choices.
Seriously?
Yeah. So my advice to candidates is that the first thing to do in an examination is to painstakingly read through all questions. So as to be able to make informed choices. So
you mean there are students who don't read through the instructions before answering the questions? Precisely. But that's serious.
Yeah. The chief examiner's report reveals this. Yeah. So candidates are advised to painstakingly read through all questions. And then again, candidates are advised to attempt all questions. Regardless of how prepared they are. You don't leave any question unanswered, which is why our program is very, very useful. No question should be left unanswered. Candidates should first and foremost read through all questions carefully before they embark on answering any question. Planning your work before you start the exams. Most candidates don't plan their work. They're always in a haste. Once they see other candidates writing, they also jump down and then start writing. It is prudent to plan your work. So you know after this stage, I go to this stage, and so on and so forth.
Also planning is very vital.
Very, very vital. Then we can also talk of adherence, strict adherence to instructions regarding questions. Questions have instructions that must be followed. Most candidates ignore this.
Can you give us an example?
Maybe you are given 3 questions, but you have to choose just one out of it.
Just one. I think that one has been a major challenge because people don't read the instructions carefully before answering. Instead of them answering 1 or 2, they end up answering all, and that even takes their time.
All 3, sure, and that will take your time. Most candidates beat about the bush it is prudent or expedient to go straight to the point without...
Maybe they want to score more points.
No, that doesn't earn you more points.
Really?
I think candidates are also expected to pay particular attention to certain keywords in the questions, i.e. explain, state, compare, contrast, list, describe, outline, etc., etc. Okay, each of these words has its own specific demands pertaining to answering the question. And so if you don't pay particular attention to that word, you might end up deviating.
All right, viewers, we'll be going for a break. And when we come back, we are going to look at some of the things that are expected from us when we are writing the English language paper. Viewers, you're welcome back. Mr. Blakwa, what should candidates expect from the English language paper?
Thanks for your question. The English language paper at the BECE level is composed of basically 3 sections. We have essay writing, reading and comprehension, and then the lexis and structure. In this paper, candidates are given 3 essay type questions to choose from, and then a passage to read, understand, and then based on your understanding, answer questions that follow. When you're done with that, then you do next the comprehension. The comprehension also is a passage, which is made up of 6 questions emanating from the passage.
So what it means that the candidate needs to read the passage and then answer the questions that comes.
Exactly. And so in the comprehension, there is a part which has to do with replacing words, certain words underline the passage, and then you are supposed to replace them with other words which can fit into the passage. So
the comprehension is not just about reading and then answering the questions?
Not at all.
Okay.
There are times you have to infer.
Okay.
There are times you have to infer based on what transpired in the passage.
In the passage.
Yeah.
All right. So what of those who read and they are not able to, they don't really understand what they have read? Are they able to?
Yeah.
Or how would they be able to answer the question?
Such candidates will always not do well because understanding is key.
It's part of the examination.
Precisely.
So what it means that it's expected of the child to read ahead. I mean, read a lot of books.
Sure, storybooks. I always advise my students to read a lot because you need a very rich stock of vocabulary in order to be able to do well in the comprehension. For example, the part which expects you to replace certain words with words of your choice. It means that if you don't understand that word, there's no way you can replace it.
You can replace it with any word.
That's why it's expected of students to read ahead of time. To read,
Don't worry, they will get there.
And then the last part is the lexis and structure, which is 40 objective type questions. In that we have nearest in meaning, synonyms, we have opposites in meaning, and then we also have question and answer tags, including idiomatic expressions.
As part of that.
The lexis and structure section. So this is basically what the English language paper.
So the objective type question, is it part of lexis and structure?
Yes.
That's where they choose the correct answer.
Yes, you have options to choose from.
I remember back in school, the students used to do and this and this. That's if they don't know the answer, they just do and this and this. And then the one that it falls on there, they will pick it as the answer. Yeah,
that is random choosing, random selection of answers. You only do that if you are not adequately prepared, like I keep saying. But if you are prepared, your confidence level will automatically be very high. And you know exactly what you are doing.
What the answer is. That's interesting.
So this is basically the structure of the English language paper at the BECE level.
Learners, Mr. Blakwa is taking us to the classroom. So I urge each and every one of you to stay glued to your seats, get your pens and your notebooks ready whilst we go to the class. Thank you.
Today we want to look at 2012 BECE English language paper. I'll be focusing more on the essay because that one carries 40 good marks. And so I begin by reading the questions. In that year, candidates were confronted with 3 essay type questions to choose from. The first one reads, write a letter to the member of parliament of your constituency telling him or her about the rise in armed robbery in your area. Suggest at least 2 ways of checking it. 2. Write a story which ends with, we arrived just in time to save the situation. And the last one reads, your father has received the National Best Farmer Award. Write a letter to your brother who is outside the country describing the ceremony. Viewers, those were the questions that year. For our discussion today, I want to dwell on the first one, which is the letter to the member of parliament. Candidates, when you are confronted with such a question, you don't have to panic at all. You first and foremost have to plan your essay before you start writing. I've always advised candidates, especially my pupils, to draw a blueprint. A blueprint is like a roadmap or a guide which will guide you in your presentation on paper. And so to begin with, you indicate that you have to write the writer's address, the date, recipient's address, the salutation, the heading, the body of the essay, and then finally you subscribe. So viewer, this is our blueprint. Let's now go into the essay proper. We have the sender's address written at the top right-hand corner of your paper. As you can see from the board, that is exactly what I've done. The next item on the blueprint is our date. The date is not part of the address. We write it beneath the address. So viewers, that is our sender's address and the date. The next item on our blueprint is the recipient's address. That is the one to whom you are writing the letter to. In the question, it is clearly stated that write that letter to the member of parliament of your constituency. So this school, Dodowa RCJHS, falls within the Shai Osudoku district, and for that matter, the Shai Osudoku constituency, which implies that we are writing to the member of parliament of the Shai Osudoku constituency. So once again, come into the board as I do that. Viewers, here you are with the recipient's address. It is also captured beneath the writer's address, but to the left-hand side. So you have the member of parliament, Shai Osudoku constituency, Dodowa. Viewers, having done this, the next thing on our blueprint or our roadmap to guide us is the salutation. Salutation, in other words, simply greetings. And for official letters like this, the appropriate way to salute or to greet is dear. And then you look for the gender of the one you are writing to. If it's a male, it is sir. If it's a female, madam. The member of parliament for the Shai Osudoku constituency happens to be a woman. So, our salutation will read, dear madam. This item takes a comma at the end of it. It is very, very, very important. So candidates, take note of that and never forget to include your comma when you are saluting your recipient. Next on the blueprint is our heading or headline. In official letters like this, there is a need for a headline. The question is asking us to write to the member of parliament and talk about the rise in armed robbery in our area. So the appropriate heading for this letter is the rise in armed robbery in our constituency, because the member of parliament is also in your constituency. This is captured in block letters. Viewers, this is underlined. The heading must always be underlined. The rise in armed robbery in our constituency. The next in our blueprint is the body or the content of the letter. Viewers, talking about the body or the content of the letter, it must have basically 3 stages: the introduction, the middle stage, and the conclusion. And for us to write a good essay, it must be in line with the demands of the question. The question is asking us to write to the member of parliament of our constituency and talk about the rise in armed robbery cases, and then also to suggest 2 possible ways of checking it. This doesn't limit you to just 2, because mind you, you are writing to get at least 250 words. And so you have to consider all that. For the introduction, you talk briefly about why you are writing the letter. The main reason for writing is to talk about the rise in armed robbery in the Shayo Sudoku constituency. So you capture that in your introduction. And then in the middle part, you talk about cases of armed robbery that has occurred in the constituency. This is where creativity and imagination comes in. So you create, you imagine and create, and then you write about armed robbery cases in the Shayo Sudoku district. And then you are also to suggest 2 ways of checking it. So how can armed robbery cases in areas be checked? 1, the police need to intensify their night patrols as well as the day patrols. The government must equip the police with all the tools and logistics they need to do their work. This will go a long way to help arrest rising cases of armed robbery. So viewers, candidates, you think, you imagine, and then you create and write. And then you conclude. In conclusion, you let the examiner know that with the following suggestions you have made, you believe and you hope that it will go a long way to reduce or to minimize the rising cases of armed robbery in your constituency. You end it with a subscription, which is the next item on our blueprint or our roadmap, which is guiding us. The subscription, because this is an official letter, a subscription must take a yours faithfully as indicated on the board. This always has a comma at the end. It's very, very important. Do not forget it. And then after yours faithfully, you sign. Signature follows. After the candidate's signature, the candidate's full name must appear beneath the signature. And then that ends it for your essay. Now, talking about the second question.
Hi. So we've looked at the BECE 2012 English paper 2. And we can write our formal letter. We wrote a letter to the member of parliament of our constituency telling him or her about armed robbery in your area. I'm sure we can all write that. That is a formal letter, isn't it? I learned something. I hope you too learned something. It's been great. We have learned a lot. Now we can write our letter. Try your hand at it at home. Take your books and your pen and try to write that letter on your own so that you can do that when you meet a similar question on the exam day. So we would take it from where we left off the next time we meet. We would look at the rest of the essays on the paper 2 of BECE 2012. So join us the next time as we go through the rest of the paper with Mr. Abrokwa. My name is Mandy Hilton Latte and I am your usual host. I'll see you next time. Enjoy the rest of your day.